More than halfway through the year, it's time to round up the unwilling contenders for our 10 most underwhelming graphics of the year. While most players are having the time of their life in 2024 with visually stunning titles such as Black Myth Wukong and Tekken 8, some just can't forget the atrocities they might have experienced lately. To honor the memory of the latter group, we are going through 10 worst graphics of 2024 so far. But before we jump in, we want to clarify that this list is specific to the quality of graphics in these games and has nothing to do with their gameplay mechanics. So there might be some good games in here that don't look at all that stunning. Bleak Faith Forsaken. The success story of From Software and their staggeringly loved Souls-likes has encouraged many indie studios to try and publish their own take on the subgenre. Unfortunately, underwhelming Souls-likes are a bigger portion of the cake rather than successful ones, and Bleak Faith Forsaken is the most recent example of that. Not only is the game riddled with bugs and gameplay issues, but the graphics are almost as good as basically Dark Souls 2, which was released way back in 2014, 10 years ago. While the game tries to create a blend of gothic and cyberpunkish atmosphere, it fails to create an impact on the player thanks to both low fidelity graphics and failing to design complex environments. Earth Defense Force 6. Earth Defense Force series, or EDF as the fans call it, was never famous for having eye-catching vistas. This series is all about chaotic battles with hordes of monsters, yet the sixth installment in the series shockingly doesn't set the visual standard high. Earth Defense Force 6 looks just like Earth Defense Force 5, which looked like just basically the same as Earth Defense Force 4, which is almost a decade old now. When the visuals of a game don't noticeably improve over almost a decade, of course, there will be consequences, and one of them is being included in a list such as this one. Kingdom the Blood. Kingdom the Blood is everything that is wrong with modern entertainment, an IP that is successful and profitable in a specific sector, namely TV, but is stretched thin for more profit by being forced into other mediums, in this case video games. Kingdom the Blood is not only boring and repetitive when it comes to its gameplay, but its visuals are also insufferable. The model details are low, most zombies are just copy-paste models of each other, and the environment design lacks diversity because everything is just another shade of black or gray, while the devs try to cover it up with exaggerated blood effects. Well, what do you expect from a game based on a TV show that is ported for every single device available, including mobile phones? Yeah, you know. Flock. For a game that is about nothing but enjoying the scenery while flying through bizarre landscapes, Flock should have really knocked it out of the park with engaging visuals. This co-op indie game is all about collecting cute flying creatures and becoming a part of a flock, as you guessed it. Yet the game fails to create a visually inspiring atmosphere. Now, we don't expect indie games to be technical marvels all the time, but Flock's visuals suffer from unrefined geometry details and frequent artifacting during high-speed flights. Crown Wars: The Black Prince. Making a game with underwhelming graphics is one thing, making it so resource heavy that even high-end systems have issues running it is definitely another. Crown Wars: The Black Prince manages to do both. This turn-based tactics game is set in a fantasy/medieval land and is all about building your castle and becoming a lord. However, the game's aesthetics are underwhelming and the performance itself is not well optimized, causing plenty of bugs and crashes as well as frame drops and blurry camera. As one of the reviews on Steam suggests, when a tiny game like this is more demanding than Cyberpunk 2077, there is something definitely wrong there. Gigantic Rampage Edition. Advertised as the premium and definitive release of the same title from 2017, Gigantic Rampage Edition is by no means premium. This 5v5 hero shooter with MOBA elements failed once it was decommissioned nearly 1 year after its original release. However, this year it was re-released as a definitive edition with UI overlapping issues, 60 FPS gameplay limit, and graphics that still look pretty outdated. Now, I get that this game is going for a specific art style, but not drastically updating the graphics of a cartoonish 7-year-old game and re-releasing it with even more limitations on modern hardware only made Gigantic Rampage Edition a largely underwhelming experience. Die by the Blade. Die by the Blade looked like an indie version of For Honor, but it failed almost as soon as it was released. While the main reason for its failure was mostly a lack of player base in multiplayer, the game's graphics also had their own case to be studied. When it comes to world and object details, Die by the Blade is a pretty good looking title, but it seems the devs put all their efforts into that aspect and completely left out character details. The characters in the game suffer from a lifeless face design, and their animations are also pretty weird. For example, the game's over-the-top blood effects and splashes usually move separately from the character's body, and this lack of sync between animations and effects is definitely stuff of nightmares. Rise of the Ronin. PlayStation exclusives are famous for their top-notch visuals. Who can forget Marvel's Spider-Man and, of course, The Last of Us' beautiful and ultra-realistic graphics? But Tecmo's latest exclusive release does not follow in the footsteps of the popular cutting-edge PlayStation franchises. Team Ninja's Rise of the Ronin couldn't repeat the success of PlayStation's previous samurai game, the excellent Ghost of Tsushima. Perhaps one good reason for that was the game's outdated visuals, inefficient visual effects, uneven water effects, and low-quality textures. Perhaps if the game was released 5 years ago for PS4, Rise of the Ronin's visuals could be praised much more, but it's surely not a feast for the eyes in this generation. Winter Survival Early Access. When a game is advertised as surviving snow-covered forests, mountains, and frozen lakes, it seems obvious that the players have to face a relatively barren in-game world and fight for their survival. Yet Winter Survival managed to surprise fans by being terribly grindy. Released into early access this year, the game not only lacked balance in its gameplay, but also did not have a proper visual design. While trying to be as realistic as possible, the game's snow-covered environment not only feels monotonous and devoid of any visual beauty, it also suffers from low-resolution textures, edgy and unrefined model design and details. Tomb Raider 1-3 Remastered. While a new Tomb Raider game is in development from Crystal Dynamics and Amazon, a remaster of the original 3 titles was released this year to mixed critical acclaim. While on the surface the remaster looks good, the outdated geometry design of the environment makes it a weird visual experience. To put it simply, Tomb Raider 1-3 Remastered looks like it was made with Lego sets covered with beautiful wallpapers. Objects in the game are pointy and unrefined, while the overly flat texture gives them a totally weird look here. A classic case of a remaster that was released with minimum visual upgrades. I mean, just look at how Dead Rising Remaster is shaping up. That's the standard developers and publishers should aim for with their remastered experiences. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.